Harry Harbord Moran, Lieutenant Bushveld Carbineers.
What rule did you shoot him under?
We were out on the veldt, fighting the boer, the way he fought us. I'll tell you what rule we applied, sir. We applied Rule 303. We caught them, and we shot them under Rule 303.
It's still one of the best Australian films ever made. Why did you call it a flop?
Commercially, it was a flop. Yeah, it didn't make any money. I mean, I still get work from it. People still call me and say, we've seen Breaker Morant, Bruce, would you like to do something for us, you know? And they still send me scripts and things, and I think it's amazing getting work from a film that was a commercial failure.
You're a liar!
Order!
If these 3 Australians have to be sacrificed to help bring about a peace conference, it's a small price to pay.
It's always hard getting enough money to make a film in the first place, but you said that you didn't quite get the full budget that you would have liked for Breaker Morant. How did the shortfall affect the production of the film?
This has happened to me on various films where haven't really had enough money to really do them. You've just got to be very resourceful and just say, okay, if we can't do that, we'll do this. You know, and often I've found a couple of times it's happened to me that the production people have pulled the plug. They've said, tomorrow night it's finished. And I'll say, well, I need 3 days. They said, finish tomorrow night, no more. And then I have to work out have to be very enterprising to try and work out what I can possibly do to finish it in the time available.
What shortcuts did you have to take for Breaker?
The biggest one of all was, you know, Jack has got this long speech. It's 5 minutes, the defence speech. Well, I mean, I had worked that out very elaborately. And then they said to me, we stop filming tomorrow at midday. That's it, finished. So I got hold of Jack and I said, look, I don't want to drop the speech from this film because I think it's crucial. I said, well, I have to do it in one shot with no cuts, with you just doing the speech, and I'll move the camera a bit because they're going to pull the plug on us. I said, make sure you've learned the speech and don't make any mistakes because we'll only get one take. And he did.
Before I was asked to defend these men, I spent some months burning Boer farmhouses, destroying their crops, herding their women and children into stinking refugee camps. Now, these orders were issued, sir, and soldiers like myself and these men here have had to carry them out, however damned reluctantly.
We did it in one shot.
That's an extraordinary effort, isn't it?
Amazing. Because, I mean, normally something like that running 5 minutes, it's pretty hard to get it exactly right, you know.
You saw Beth Henley's play, Crimes of the Heart. You loved it, and you saw its potential as a film. You had to go and put your case personally, I believe, to the office of Dino De Laurentiis.
He was that kind of a man. I mean, he was running his own company, and he didn't delegate it to anybody. He ran it. I called him, and I said I'd seen this play, and then he said, oh, his English at that stage was not very good. In fact, his English was never very good. He got a translation of the play into Italian almost straight away. And then he called me a couple of days later and said, come and see me. And he said, I like that play. He said, we make of this film. That was it.
It's so easy to get a film made, isn't it?
If you got Dino's okay, you had Dino's support.
We've just lost DIANE Keaton, who was in the film. And when you made the film with her, she'd already won an Oscar.
They were all big stars, yeah.
How did you find working with her on set?
Oh, I know. You're mad because I stayed out all night long.
Well, the 3 girls in the lead, well, there were 4 of them, counting Tess Harper.
No, Meg, we're not mad.
They were all fabulous.
Oh, now, Lenny, listen to me. I realized that I could care about somebody. That I could want somebody. And I sang. And none of it was to please old granddaddy.
Oh, Meg.
What?
Well, it's just It's about old Granddaddy.
You know, I'm gonna go over there first thing this morning, and I'm gonna tell him the truth. I am. And if he can't take it, what? If it sends him into a coma, well, that's just too damn bad.
You know, at first I thought, oh, this is going to be a nightmare.
You're too late.
They'll all be bossing me around and they'll argue and all that kind of thing.
What?
Never happened.
What?
Please stop it. No, please, babe.
It's so funny. What?
It's not funny.
Well, what is it?
It's
funny.
not funny.
What?
It's just that
What?
it's old Granddaddy.
Yeah. He's in a coma. My God, how is he? Is he gonna live?
They all understood to play sisters, they had to be very convincing.
This is just terrible. We shouldn't be laughing like this. We're just like we're
The basic love between them had to be there.
Oh, Maggie, I'm so sorry. It happened again last night.
They made every effort to make this work. They were all charming.
You've often said that the bigger the star, the easier and more personable they are to work with because they've got nothing to prove.
Yeah, that's true.
But it's not always true, is it? For example, you had a few moments with Robert Duvall.
Well, yes, the problems with Duval were really nothing to do with doing the film. That was what was strange. Directing him in the role, he was always kind of rather surly. But it wasn't, he never argued the toss. If, you know, I'd say, look, Bob, you come in the door, we have the dialogue here, we move the camera to here, you sit here, you do that. He never argued about anything. He just did it. But apart from that, he was difficult. Like he was sort of uncooperative and, oh, you know, like I remember one scene we had to go, I had to do a shot the other side of the town of him coming out of a bar at sunset. And I said to him, look, Bob, we go over there and we'll get the sunset shot exactly right. And he said, well, what's the problem? And I said, we can't take your trailer. He had a trailer like 60 feet long. And I said, we'll never get over there in the trailer in time to get the shot. And he said, well, what do you want to do? I said, you come with me in the car.
All right, Mac. I thought maybe you quit the business.
I have, but I just wrote this song. I thought, you know.
I'll see if she gets it.
And he said, oh, no, I've got to have the trailer. And I said, but Bob, I'm doing this for the film. We need the sunset. I need you to come out of the bar at sunset. And if you don't come in the car, we won't get it. And he said, well, I'm not coming in the car. I want the trailer. I mean, that was the kind of thing he did that just drove me mad. So we did do the shot, but he was coming out at night time. It wasn't correct, you know.
Right, yeah.
That was kind of the way he behaved.
And the winner is...
Ha-ha! Oh, yeah! Robert Duvall! Send him
Thank you very much. I'm very excited, very happy, very moved. I think we set out to make a very truthful film, a very good film. I think Bruce Beresford, Horton Foote, the Hobels, EMI should all be commended for a very wonderful job that they did in putting this film together. I'm very happy. Thank you.
You also told me once about that wonderful conversation you had with Jodie Foster.
She said to me, yes, she said, yes, she said, there's no point in arguing with me. And I said, well, why not, Jodie? I have a different viewpoint. And she said, I am so intelligent, I can't be wrong.
It must be wonderful to have that sort of self-belief.
What an amazing thing to say.
That brings up another situation too. You've faced quite a lot where you've cast someone in a film like Jodie Foster and she became pregnant. She couldn't do Double Jeopardy. And then you replaced her with Michelle Pfeiffer.
Yes.
And had some problems, I understand.
Well, Michelle Pfeiffer, you see, we had to meet. The studio arranged for Michelle and I to meet every day I was in a hotel in Santa Monica. We'd meet and go through the script, and I'd make a note of her suggestions. But her suggestions really made it into a different film. It wasn't Double Jeopardy. And I went back to the studio head and I said, look, she's going through everything in a rather pedantic sort of way. And I said, the changes are so extreme that you'll no longer have Double Jeopardy. It'll be a different film with a different story and different characters. And I said, either we get rid of it. I said, we should do that, but not with me. I said, if you do it with Michelle, I won't do it. But I said, the alternative is drop Michelle and find someone else, which is what they did.
And sometimes the director himself is actually replaced.
Oh,
did
yeah.
all that work on the bridges of Madison County, and then you didn't end up directing that film.
Well, that was another one because, you see, the studio wanted Clint to play the lead and me to direct it. But I realised when I was meeting with Clint, he actually wanted to direct it and play the lead. And finally, I mean, he was always polite, but he was sort of virtually completely uncooperative. I mean, he was sort of friendly, but, you know, yeah, he didn't cooperate at all. And so I went to the studio head and I said, look, this isn't going to work. Because I said, I've got a leading actor who just is a sort of like a brick wall. He doesn't say or do anything helpful. You better let him direct it and I'll go. And that's what we did.
Whatever it is that makes an artist look like an artist to the world is just a feature I don't have, that's all.
It would never have worked. No.
He did actually turn out an amazing film.
It was a huge success.
Yes.
Yep. I think he's a good director.
How different is his version from what you imagined?
I never saw his version.
The development period of some projects can stretch to decades. Like I believe it took 23 years to get The Ladies in Black up.
Oh,
I mean,
yes.
obviously over that period, you're going to have to recast in your mind.
Yes, well, see, the thing is, we were going to the Film Commission here in Sydney for support, and they kept saying these actors were, you know, we want a big name in it. And at one point I had Isabella Rossellini for the lead, and they said, who's she? We've never heard of her. And we had these endless problems with getting them to okay name actors.
How long did it take to raise the money for The Travellers?
Oh, it took a year and a half.
Pretty short, isn't it?
Yeah, so I suppose you could say that. You never really know. I mean, it's always tricky to raise money, especially these days. I mean, the only time it comes easily is something like Double Jeopardy, where the studio approached me with a Double Jeopardy script, which actually needed quite a bit of work. But they said, look, we want you to do it. We have the budget. And they did. They had a huge budget, and it was already there. So I sat down with the two script writers and we made I made suggestions and we did revisions, and we went ahead, and the studio, I mean, the money was always there. It was financed by a great big studio that had a lot of money.
What's the significance of the title, The Travellers?
The main character travels to Australia. His father was a commercial traveller. And there's a scene where the boy meets an old girlfriend of the father's, and she said, the travelling men have all gone. The suggestion is they're not just travelling physically, and the mother's dying, the mother dies. It's a travel through their life.
Now, you and Bryan are working together after, almost half a century. How have you both changed in the 45 years since you last filmed together?
He seemed to me to be unchanged. He's a very dedicated actor. He's very thorough. He listens to anything I have to say, but he is incredibly well prepared. He comes on, he understands the character from reading the script. He had the same understanding that I did. He never fluffs a line. He came on totally prepared. He's always very cooperative. If I suggest something, he says, "Oh, yes, mate, I see what you want." And then he just does it. But I find that most of the really fabulous actors are like that. I mean, I found that working with, on Crimes of the Heart. I'd make a suggestion to Diane or Sissy and say, "What about so-and-so?" And they say, "Oh, we'll give it a try." They never argue the toss.
You've said that Brian likes to, he likes you to have a bit of fun with him on set, to be almost flippant. Would that create a problem if the actor that he's playing opposite wants you to be really serious?
I got an opera to do in Germany.
What opera?
Doesn't matter. You never heard of it. You don't know anything about opera.
What is it?
It's Traviata.
Never heard of it.
I mean, I always like the set to be, well, I don't make any conscious effort, but I like the set to be a place where we're all cooperating to make the film. And it's something we should enjoy doing. We take it seriously, but it's enjoyable.
You love opera, and that plays a strong part in The Travellers. And I was intrigued to read that you don't read music. In fact, you've said many conductors don't read music scores either, yet you've directed opera on stage.
Yes, but
do you think
right.
reading music would actually help or hinder you?
I think it might help.
What's this?
That's just some rough sketches for the sets. The heroine's love life goes all wrong. She dies of consumption at 23.
Laugh a minute.
I've tried to learn to read music. My daughter plays the clarinet, and I got her to say, I said, "Look, I want you to teach me how to read music." And she came here to the house a few times, and then finally she said to me, "Forget it." She said, "You're not intelligent enough to learn how to read music." The thing is, though, that I can't read music, but if you're directing an opera, it's like directing a play or a film. I mean, I'm directing it as a drama. And as far as the music goes, I can't read music, but I have a good sense of music. Like if you're rehearsing an opera and they're just playing it on piano, they just play a little bit. I always know where it is.
How is The Travellers doing in cinemas at the moment? Do you find local audiences resist local product?
I'm told by the distributors that the people under 30 tend to very much favour American popular films. The kids, they'll all go to, sort of horror films, comedies, action films, and not so much Australian, homegrown films like The Travellers. But they said an older audience over 30 there is a big audience for those films from the over 30s. I mean, people have got big TV screens. They just watch stuff online at home. I still like going to a cinema and seeing a film well projected on a big screen with good sound and an audience reacting. I mean, that's quite an experience, just like it is if you go to a live play or an opera. It can be a very thrilling experience to be with the crowd, not to be sitting there watching it alone in a room.
I understand that you avoid reading reviews of your movies. Is that perhaps because one of them might have originally stung?
I think it's a bit of a hangover from the frightful reviews of Barry Mackenzie, which was so depressing. They were really, really hostile. But I've got used to it. I've read some amazingly hostile reviews of Driving Miss Daisy, which I thought was a very, very well-written film. It was a true story. It was well observed, well cast. And I thought, I don't really see you could say anything ghastly about this, but people did.
I understand that you had to fight really hard to keep a couple of key scenes in Driving Miss Daisy. Is that true?
Yes, because, I think luckily for me, you see, the film was financed by a Canadian producer. It wasn't financed by a Hollywood studio. So that was an advantage because he never interfered. But the Hollywood studio, Warner Brothers, had distribution rights. And that when we first had a screening for them, they only sent one person along to see it, a sort of junior executive. Nobody major came to see it. I got some notes from them. One of them was the scene where Daisy is sitting down listening to an opera on the radio. And they said, we don't want that atonal music, they called it. You've got to replace it with a country and western song. And they said, you've only put the opera in because you like opera. And I said, well, that's actually not true. It's in the script that Miss Daisy used to listen to the opera broadcast every Saturday afternoon for like 50 years on the radio in America, and she always listened. I said, it's in the script, not made up by me.
What are you talking about?
Well, I'm talking about I can't read, man.
What?
I can't read, Miss Daisy.
Then how come I see you looking at the paper all the time?
Well, that's just it. I just be looking.
You know your letters, don't you?
Oh, yes, ma'am. I know my ABC is pretty good. I just can't read.
Stop saying that. You're making me mad.
They kind of backed off, mainly because I thought they didn't think the film had much chance anyway.
Is it true that you've actually made a couple of movies for nothing because you so believed in them? And did you end up getting paid?
Not actually for nothing. I mean, I've done films on very, very modest fees. I've turned down a number of Hollywood films with very big fees. I've done that this year.
Why did you turn it down?
Well, because I read the scripts and thought I wouldn't know how to direct them. You've really got to take on something you think you can do. I made mistakes early on in my career. I've been very careful about that.
What happens when you're producing a film and you realize that some of the people in your team are not exactly seeing the same project that you've seen in your mind? How do you navigate your way forward in a working relationship?
I've got a phone call. Oh, hang on, I'll take this. Yeah, I'll call you back. Sorry. Well, I don't know that I've actually found that. I mean, usually you find, certainly with something, the Travellers, I mean, the support I had in West Australia was extraordinary, but it's usually like that. I've worked with crews a lot in America, all over Europe. They're very good. I did a couple of times early on. There was a film I did in South Africa.
Innocence is dead.
We're all guilty, original sin, that sort of thing.
Innocence the maid.
One man said no.
What do you mean no? Well, it's the opposite of yes.
Good Man in Africa, which was one of those ones where everything went wrong. I thought the casting was a bit of a shambles.
Colin Fields, Sean Connery, John Lithgow, Louis Gossett Jr., Diana Rigg.
I didn't get on with the producer.
A Good Man in Africa, directed by Bruce Beresford.
Bit by bit, the thing crumbled away like a building collapsing. But I don't think it's happened that badly since.
What do you think of Donald Trump's efforts to put a tariff on films coming into America? Do you think Hollywood needs that sort of protection?
No, it doesn't need it, and I don't think he is actually on top of what he's doing. I think what he's stumbling to say is that he doesn't want American productions being made here or in Europe, which is often the case. There have been a lot of American films being made here in the last 10 years. They come out here and that money's not being spent in America. Trying to put a tariff on Australian films going in doesn't make any sense. What would you can't? It's meaningless. It's not as if you're taking over something people are going to buy like an object. It's, will they go to the film? Won't they go to the film? You never really know. I mean, it's almost unworkable. But I think what he really wants is to stop those productions travelling to Australia or Europe. There's a lot go to Europe, a lot go to England, Ireland. There's been a lot of films made in Ireland. See, because that means the American producers, they get a kickback from local tax like the Americans come here, make films here, and they get a tax, they get a kickback from the government because they're bringing in this work. I think Trump doesn't want that to happen.
Bruce, dare I say it, you're breaking the rules. You're 85 this year, and you're still working. You're still making movies.
Well, there's no rule.
Well, there was a rule that says you've got to give up. You've got to hang up your hat in retirement. But you're not doing that, mate.
What else could I do? No, if I'm well enough to keep working, I will.
How do you stay well enough?
Luck.
What projects have you put your fingers into at the moment?
I've got a script I've written over here, which there's a producer interested in that, and he's coming to see me. Well, we're trying to work out a plan of attack. I've written a lot of scripts that never really went anywhere. I remember I recently said to my wife, I was cleaning out the shelves over here in front of me with old scripts, and I said to my wife, all these films here that I've never made would have made better films than the ones I have made.
The ultimate irony.
But you sometimes you can't tell what's going to get financed and what isn't.
Do you think Travellers will do well when it goes to streaming?
I don't know. I hope so. I think I've been with a couple of audiences. The audience's responses are very good. I've seen people laughing. I've seen people crying. A friend of mine emailed the other day and said he'd just seen the film in Adelaide, and he said he cried in one of the scenes. He said, I suddenly found myself bursting into tears.
How much of you is in the Bryan Brown character?
There's none of me in the Bryan Brown character.
Even as a kid, you were always refined and sensitive. I was going to say, a bit of a pain in the arse.
I did some of the little quirks the characters got. I stole from little oddities of my father.
Right.
Having a shower fully dressed.
G'day. You're back early. Dad, don't you think that's a bit strange? I'm washing my bloody clothes as well as me. What's wrong with that?
He thought that was a great idea. Also, the visit. There's a scene in it where he takes his son on a visit to a man he thinks is a direct descendant of Jesus. That was an incident that happened to me with my father.
Right, yeah.
And he believed this friend of his was, and it made me think, this guy's a brick short of a load.
Yeah, it's hilarious. Look, Bruce, thank you so much for your time. Thank you very much for that, mate. I really love it. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
We used to come up here years ago, remember, Dad?
Of course I remember. Why are we here now?
We just need to talk. It's just you getting on, Dad.
What are you suggesting?